Bob Pittman. This morning on Album Tracks, we'll profile STYX. We'll have new albums set for release, and news on the Doors, Steve Miller, and an Elton John imposter. But first, to put music in perspective this week, here's the top 4 selling albums in the country, according to Record World magazine. Number 4 is Jackson Browne, Running on Empty. Number 3, Billy Joel, Stranger. Number 2, Barry Manilow, Even Now. And number 1 for the 9th consecutive week is Saturday Night Fever, featuring the Bee Gees and various artists. On the radio side of things, here's the top 5 most played albums on the progressive stations in the country, according to Radio and Records magazine. Number 5, Little Feat, Waiting for Columbus. Number 4, Billy Joel, Stranger. Number 3, Jefferson Starship, Earth. Number 2, Eric Clapton, Slow Hand. And number 1, Running on Empty, Jackson Browne. Last year was the year of Fleetwood Mac. This year looks like it's going to be the Bee Gees' year. They have the number 1 selling album and the number 30 most played album by the progressive stations in the country. And the way the album's now selling, it could very well end up being the biggest selling album of all time. Other hot albums this week, according to Radio and Records, are Infinity from Journey, Heaven Help the Fool, Bob Weir, and All This and Heaven 2 from Andrew Gold. And now with news about Paul Simon, Jefferson Starship, and Steve Miller, here's Album Tracks Lee Masters. But before you hit those, Lee, could you tell us about the imposter in L.A.?
Well, it looks like we're getting a rash of these guys, Bob. A couple of weeks ago, we told you about a guy impersonating Led Zeppelin's John Bonham in Toronto. And this week, we heard about the same scam being pulled in Los Angeles. Only this guy looked like Elton John. He was short, chubby, wore glasses and a hat, and he called himself Reggie Dwight, Elton John's real name. He tried buying 2 condominiums. He rented an expensive car. But a couple of people got suspicious when Elton's picture with Rod Stewart and Princess Margaret appeared in the papers at the same time that he was supposed to be in Los Angeles. But the imposter got away. Who is the next rock impersonator going to be? That's what I want to know. Paul Simon's just left Columbia Records for Warner Brothers, and a contract reportedly worth over 7 figures. It's an interesting move because Simon has just gotten his first platinum album, and he's apparently very interested in writing Broadway musicals, and that prompted the move. Jefferson Starship, at a recent party they threw in San Francisco, where they added a new gold record for their Earth album to their collection of 9 gold and 5 platinum LPs, Grateful Dead drummer Mickey Hart showed up. He was dressed as a Martian. And concert promoter Bill Graham is very upset about a recent sentence handed down to John Bonham of Led Zeppelin and their manager Peter Grant for assaulting 3 of Graham's employees during a scuffle last July. Both were fined $500 and placed on probation, along with 2 Zeppelin security guards. Graham called the sentence a slap on the wrist. Have you ever bought a counterfeit record? Well, many people have and didn't even know it. The industry is reportedly in the $50 million a year range. Some counters do such a great job at reproducing the cover artwork and repressing the album that many people are fooled. Jules Yarnell, who heads up a team of attorneys and investigators working with the FBI and the Internal Revenue Service, said counterfeiters are hard to bust because they've infiltrated many legitimate businesses. He also says many pressing plants and jacket manufacturers cooperate because there's so much money involved. And the Beach Boys may be touring South America soon, playing in Chile, Venezuela, Brazil, for a reported $3 million. That's a record amount, the highest ever paid since Alice Cooper went to Brazil in '75 and played before 100,000 people. Ray Manzarek, Robbie Krieger, and John Densmore, all original members of the Doors, are back together and recording an album. Turner. They honeymooned in Palm Springs.
New albums scheduled for release in the next month or so are from Foreigner, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. This morning in our Album Tracks profile, we look at a group that's just recently reached the status of being a major influence in the music world. The group is STYX.
It's becoming obvious that one of the most important things you need to make it in rock and roll is perseverance. We've been telling you about all these bands that have been plugging away for years, and then they finally make it. And STYX is no different. That band got started in a garage in the Still Mill district in the south side of Chicago by 3 high school boys. Dennis DeYoung and twins John and Chuck Pinoza started a band called TW4. Later, they added James Young. They gigged around a lot trying to get their original material accepted, being frustrated about having to play other groups' hits. They landed their first recording contract in 1970 with a small record company and became STYX, the name of the Fiery River and Dante's Inferno. All told, they released 4 albums on that label. All were given incredible reviews and critical acclaim, but radio almost totally ignored the band, something the band felt was because of poor management and lack of promotion from their label. They spread the word and the music themselves, following the old rock and roll adage in the Midwest of hitting the road. STYX played high schools, colleges, everywhere, knocking the audiences out with their clean but high-energy rock. The big break, that one pivotal moment, It's responsible for moving a band from obscurity to prominence came when a Chicago radio station deluged with requests started playing the cut Lady from the STYX 2 album. The label re-released the single, and the band had their first hit, helping that album become gold. But the gold album didn't guarantee continued success. Nothing much happened afterwards, so learning from their mistakes, the band decided to get a new manager and a new label. They signed with A&M, turning down a better financial offer from another label because they thought they'd get a better promotional push from A&M. Their recent album, The Grand Illusion, after a slow start's very hot now, moving on the strength of the cuts Come Sail Away and Foolin' Yourself. STYX is Dennis DeYoung on keyboards and vocals, James Young on guitar and vocals, Chuck Panozzo on bass, John Panozzo on drums, and Tommy Shaw from Alabama, who joined a couple of years ago on guitar. STYX is an interesting combination of classically oriented keyboard melodies, strong and loud guitar work, lyrics with meaningful content, and very nice harmonies, balanced on that fine line of being unusual and progressive and commercial at the same time.
And next week we'll profile